Well, hi, a very warm welcome to Dusty Shelf. Here today in York at the National Railway Museum. Now you can see behind me the gates to Euston Station, and if I just turn the camera around, we start in the Great Hall. Now the first thing to say is when you walk into the hall, the smell. I just love the smell in here. The smell of engine oil and the locos. It has a very distinctive smell, this museum, and obviously something that I can't capture on camera, so if you can come here, do so yourself, because even just that bit of nostalgia as you walk in, the smell of oil, the smell of steam oil, it's absolutely wonderful. Now the loco we've got here is Henry Oakley. Beautiful, beautiful loco, and if I just come down past the tender, you see this very iconic shot. As I just creep past the tender, you can see the Evening Star appear with its nameplate. Now I'm sure everybody watching this channel is aware this is a 9F and was the last steam engine made for British Railways, right at the end of steam on the main line. And the main thing about this and why it's so fascinating is everything's accessible. You know, when you come and see this in person, all the pipe work and everything you need to oil, nothing's sort of hidden away. It's all, if you like, built on the outside, and you see the boilers quite high on this. So again, I don't know how much of this is coming out because it's very dark in here, but you know, if I just come out the side here, you can see the running board just there running along next to the boiler, and I'm standing underneath it. Now I'm not particularly tall, but yeah, it's a long way up. It's probably 6.5, 7 feet up until the running boards, and you see all the pipe work running underneath the side here, and yeah, the firebox all perfectly accessible. Brake shoes. It is somewhat humbling to be so close to these machines. I do love this museum, as you can probably guess. Just coming back to the nameplate. Yeah, very iconic. Now, it is half term, it is a Saturday afternoon, so it's incredibly busy today. So I'm desperately trying not to get other people in my shots. And just come back to Henry Oakley and make our way up into the cab. Let's go and have a look in the cab of Henry Oakley. Yeah, as I say, trying desperately not to film other people. Very, very difficult today. As I say, very busy, and school holidays as well. Managed to pick the same day last year for my visit to York. Anyway, inside the cab there, it's splendid to get up close. And round to the tender. Marvellous. Right, and while I'm here, why not have a look inside the Evening Star? It's a beautiful shot there along the boiler. And inside, in contrast to two locos, you know, the earlier one behind me, the Oakley, and now inside the Evening Star, just the sheer space and the complexity of the controls. Total different layout, obviously. And little areas of the cab with windows on the side, unlike the cab on the Henry Oakley, which was all kind of open to the elements. You did have the spectacles on the front, you did have a roof, but there was no sort of windows around the driver. And here we've got a wind deflector behind on the driver's seat, and while there's no wind deflector on the fireman's side, you've still got a window on there, and an extended cab roof right the way back until the tender. And yeah, it's nice to see inside the locos, it really is. I certainly appreciate it. And then as we come back down the steps on the tender here, we've got the British Rails logo. Yeah, unfortunately the light's catching on that, but yeah, splendid. And right next to Evening Star is the schools class, Cheltenham. Nice to stick these two locos next to each other. Now, one thing I will say is I did a video on the museum this time last year, as I said. Came up here, I try and make an annual pilgrimage if I can to the Railway Museum. Everything's been moved round, which is wonderful to see. And some of the engines that were here have been moved. And certainly Cheltenham, I think Cheltenham was round in the workshops last time, but it's been brought out on display right next to Evening Star on the turntable here. And on the turntable we've got a Class 20. I forget what was on here last time. I think it was the Deltic last time, but yeah, we've got the Class 20 on there. Well, 2025 is the 50th anniversary of the museum, and back years ago in 1975, this place was very, very different. I do plan to do a video on the history of the museum, so I did find one of the early programmes that detailed what was here. One of the interesting things is not only was the roof lower, this roof that you see here with this nice airy space was put up in the early 90s, but when the roof was lower, there was actually a second turntable in here. Now, I did visit, I've got photographs of me visiting with the second turntable, but I just don't remember it. But now they just have this one turntable, which is the grand turntable, and as I say, the Class 20 on it today. Well, with this being 200 years of the railways as well, and also 200 years of the Stockton and Darlington Railway, there's a sort of quite a presence of Era 1 locos and stock. These are the replicas of Manchester and the Liverpool-Manchester Railway. These would have been run behind the Rocket, and you can see the open carriage here that, well, both of these were released by Hornby a couple of years ago. Now, this open carriage, my wife just reminded me, I actually had a ride in this back in the day. Now, when I get home, I will see if I've got some photographs, but yeah, we did climb in there when the Rocket was running up and down the line. The replica Rocket, we'll go round to one of those in a minute, it's just around the corner here, but they had a replica running up and down the display line outside, parallel to the main line, and what they used to do is run the locos back and forth down there, giving demonstrations and the occasional ride in some of their stock. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to be here on the day when they were running the Rocket and this open carriage. These are lovely to see. I mean, as I say, they are replicas, but yeah, beautiful looking. And then on this side, we got number 1275 or 1275. Before I walk round, because I'm feeling a bit ignorant on this one, let me walk round and read what it is. I'll just show you up inside the cab there. Make a way round. One of the things, I don't know whether it's picking up on the camera, but getting so close to the locos, you see how the lining on here, you really see the brush strokes on how it's been hand painted, yeah, particularly here. Well, as I make my way round to the other side of the loco, I'll just do a pan shot across the turntable here and past the front of the Class 20. I think I said D20 a minute ago, apologies if I did. Obviously I'll see it in the editing and I would have put a caption there, but yeah, obviously a Class 20. As always, speaking on my feet as I walk round, and those that watch the channel know that I'm prone to saying the wrong things. Ah yes, look, should have known. Hippopotamus, class number 1275, built in 1874. And again, back inside the cab here. And if I just pan back a little bit, you see it in all its glory. It's the little details on these older engines. I mean, just down here on the conrod, the lining, completely unnecessary, but sets the logo, and the wheels for that matter. Look at the lining on the wheels, absolutely unnecessary, but really does set the look of the loco off, and it's just a little attention to detail. And then this side, the Stirling number 1. Yeah, quite aware of this loco. Again, we'll have a look inside, I think. Yeah, when you contrast the controls here, how different they are to the Evening Star. Well, I did a shot a minute ago looking out through the glass, lifting the camera up, and I can see clearly now. I think the line that ran up and down is a little bit further over, because obviously this is the car park. But just going to make my way around the back of the Stirling, just waiting for some people to go past. And, yeah, again, trying desperately not to film other people today. You can see the huge drive wheel on these. Great Northern Railway, Doncaster. So the Railway Museum, still need to do quite a bit of reading on it, but from what I have read at the moment, was originally founded by the Great Northern Railway. They decided to keep a collection of their locos, hence why there's quite a stock of Great Northern Railway locos in the museum. And yeah, 1975, that was moved into the National Collection and then the National Railway Museum, with stock brought in from other lines. That is an absolutely stunning loco. Another shot here of the Class 20. And I'm going to go around this way again, trying not to film people, to the Q1, the austerity loco. Now the tender for this, I did have a quick look round earlier just so I had some idea of what was here. Yeah, the tender for this loco is actually in the other wing in the workshop, next to the workshops, or what's left of the workshops, I should say. But yeah, very strange looking loco this. There is a video on the channel. I did review the Hornby loco, Hornby version of this. I seem to remember saying that last year as well. It does all blur into one. And yeah, the back of the loco here, inside the cab, with all the controls visible. Without the tender here, this is quite a view that yeah, you wouldn't normally see. You know, you'd either be looking in through the window from the outside, or if you're actually on the footplate, getting a very different viewpoint. But from down here, you know, we're looking from underneath the loco, up at the controls. Yeah, very interesting shot. Now this loco doesn't really need much of an introduction. I did mention this on the video last week at the Railway Fair in Bedford. Friends of the National Railway Museum were there, and they were running some models of Rocket and Copper Knob, which is this loco, back and forth. Now Copper Knob is actually renowned, and if you look on the YouTube, Curator with a Camera is the National Railway Museum's own YouTube channel, and they do some really good reviews on this. And just on the top here, you can see on the cowl there the shrapnel damage, and then if we go around the other side, you can see quite clearly the shrapnel damage on the boiler itself. Let me just come back and get a shot of the whole loco. Well, there's not too many people here. To the side here we've got the Leicester and Swannington winding engine of 1832. Again, just reading that off the wall as I'm speaking to the camera. Now I do think this has been in the museum an awful long time, correct me if I'm wrong, but caught my eye again because of the intricacies of the scroll work on the sides of the engine. I mean, totally unnecessary again, but yeah, back in the day they knew how to do things properly. And you can see on the wall behind all of the different headboards from all the different well, trains, aren't they, because these would be headboards running on different tours and express locos. And then over this side we've got the name of some of the engines. There's a wagon here from the collieries. So this was from, let me just make sure I get this right, Northumberland Colliery. Built in 1826, is a cauldron wagon. This would be horse-drawn and obviously filled with coal from the collieries. As I say, 1826 this is. So yeah, extremely old. Right, moving past Copper Knob, we come onto the replica of the Rocket. Now this isn't the steaming version. I don't know whereabouts that is. That might be up at Shildon. I'll be heading there tomorrow. This is the cutaway version of Rocket, basically demonstrating why this was such a revolutionary engine. So apart from the double acting cylinders, this was the first engine to have the boiler tubes to draw heat from the firebox through the boiler and increase the surface area of the water being boiled. Really big fan of the Rocket. I still need to do a review of the Hornby versions. I have both the early version and the latter one, and I've also got the R100 3.5 inch version, and I plan to do a review on all of those at some point. Nice to see a couple of good wagons in the museum. And here, the United Dairies tanker from the LMS. I mean, a staple of model railways for many, many years. Got a coach here from the Linden and Barnstable Railway, narrow gauge carriage from 1896, and you can see transformation in progress, restoration in action. I think this carriage has been in this condition as far back as I can remember, so you never know, maybe something is happening with it now. Again, just coming back past the wagon and the tanker there. PET, tiny locomotive PET. This tiny locomotive PET is a railway equivalent of a forklift truck. Its small size was perfect for moving across the fast and busy rail works at Crewe. It also says on trucks just 477 millimetres or 1 foot 6 inches wide. It was used there until 1929. So if we just go around the front, you can see it's an extremely narrow gauge. So again, the picture here, you can see how it's crossing the main rails. Yeah, quite interesting that. Wonderful Southern Railways coach in splendid livery. Really liking the lining on this. And we can come up and have a quick look through the windows. I don't know, I'm probably getting too much reflection, I think, unfortunately. Nice to get up close. Let's see if I can get a shot inside. I think I'm probably just getting a whole lot of reflection. Hopefully you're seeing a little bit inside there. And Livingston Thomas, one of the Fenstiniog Fairley locos. There's a video coming up on the channel with me adding the nameplates onto my small English locos. Had them made by one of the nameplate manufacturers. You see there, Boston Lodge, Fenstiniog Railway. I had the pleasure of a tour around Boston Lodge last year, something I've always wanted to do. And yeah, there's a few shots on the channel as well, walking around Boston Lodge, and yeah, really fantastic. A little bit of a dream come true to actually go there. Fairley's patent, and this particular loco of Farley's patent was Livingston Thomas, built in 1885. Worked on the railway till 1971 and then became part of the Science Museum. It's still owned by the Fenstiniog Railway and is on loan to the museum. Now, when I came last year, this plaque was all covered up, and I wanted to particularly do a video about this and film it, because I had a video on the Sir Ralph Wedgwood loco that I wanted to put together, and this plaque was how I was going to start the video. When I got here, there was building works and there was tape right across it, but this year no such thing. It's all open and you can read it. On this plaque, the LNER Streamline Pacific locomotive Sir Ralph Wedgwood was destroyed during an air raid on the night of the 29th of April 1942. Nearby Class B16 number 925 was also destroyed. This plaque was placed in remembrance by the Gresley Society on the 50th anniversary, the 29th of April 1992. I guess it's somewhat strange to think that with that being a memorial plaque to a LNER loco, that we should find the LMS Duchess of Hamilton parked in front of it. It is a stunning piece of machinery, that's for sure. Difficult to get far enough away to get it all in the shot. But last year when I came up here, this was parked next to the Mallard. This time on the turntable, if I just look towards the front of the loco, you see where the turntable is. And you can see here the plaque, Duchess of Hamilton, 1938. And let's have a look inside the cab. It is quite amazing to be so close. All the bright work inside, and the shot down the side of the loco. Truly beautiful. You get a really good shot of the southern carriage from up here. And the fairly at the end there. Again, just to show appreciation to the museum for putting these walkways in, allowing us to climb up and have a look inside the locos. So the museum itself, if you're not aware, it's on Lehman's Road in the middle of York. It does have a car park. Car park's £10 to park for a day. Museum is free to enter. They do ask for a donation, but obviously that goes towards the upkeep and running of some of these locos. And if you do come up here, it's well worth a visit. So this site here, Lehman's Road in York, and also Shildon further up in the northeast. And yeah, if you visit both of them, you can do them both just in a day. There's about a 2-hour drive between the two. Look at that, the Duchess of Hamilton with the streamlines on the front. It is an amazing machine. See if I can get a better shot around the other side. So as I pan away from the Duchess, past the Great Western Lodestar, the Castle class, and then over to the Mallard. The three engines, I believe, epitomise the race for speed in steam. Let's come down to the loco here. So the gangway is open to walk underneath, but before we do that, a quick look up inside the cab. Absolutely Churchward's masterpiece here. And I think the three locos I've just mentioned, all three of them have very specific and particular sounds, all of them sounding absolutely beautiful. Lovely to see the top of the copper chimney there, down past the smoke box door. And we head down underneath the loco. You see the steps heading down here into the walkway underneath. And another view you don't very often see, the other side of the loco. You see out there the conrods from the two inside cylinders, and the lateral springs on the front bogie. As we move back down the loco, the counterbalances on the weights on the crank arms. Now underneath the firebox, you see the springs very clearly. The injectors.
This is dangerous.
It's great to be so close. And then onto the tender. Now I have to say, I have been privately, let's say privately, because I've not really discussed it on the channel, a little bit critical of the museum in the fact that I saw the workshops disappear into a play area, and you know, every year the cafeteria just seems to get bigger and bigger, and it's always worried me that you know, the emphasis has potentially moved away from the locos, and you know, it's become more about it being profitable, which is not the important factor, I believe, with museums. You know, obviously they've got to pay their keep, and the coffee shops and gift shops do make the money, especially when they're free to enter. But, and this is where I'm going to eat my words, getting this sort of unprecedented access for all of these engines in here, and to see them all moved round from last year. Oh, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm loving every minute of it. What a fantastic museum. So just taking in the splendour here of Lodestar. One more time down the side of the engine. You see Great Western written on the tender there. And directly opposite is the dynamometer car. So the dynamometer car basically ran behind the Mallard and recorded the speed of 126 miles an hour. Now, I recently purchased the Rapido version. I very much would like to do a review on that, so I'm not going to say too much about the car here. I'm going to save that for its own dedicated video. But the one thing I will do is, again, access. I can walk up the steps and actually have a look inside and get some photographs of the tachograph there that would have recorded the speed. In itself, this carriage is beautiful. It's teak lining, and you've got the clear story roof on there, allowing ventilation into the coach. Panning along from the dynamometer car, a loco that needs no introduction at all. Probably one of the most famous locos in the world, if not the most famous, only probably next to the Flying Scotsman. It's stablemate. This is the Mallard, fastest steam locomotive, and again, unprecedented access. We can see inside the cab and the regulator lever that I can't think of his name off the top of my head now. I'll put it in the caption. Pulled on the lever to push this up to the 126 mile an hour mark, and then looking down the side, that iconic view down the side of the streamlined A4. And then just on the side here, the plaque, it says LNER on the 3rd of July 1938, this locomotive attained a world speed record for steam traction of 126 miles an hour. And you can see just on the side here, Mallard. And again, everybody watching this channel, I'm sure they're aware of the streamlining on the A4. You can see the little depression behind the funnel. Basically, it was a problem with the early streamlining that the smoke was being dragged into the cab. So in the wind tunnel tests, one of the workers there picked up the model and put his thumbprint in the top of the clay model just behind the chimney, and yeah, solved the problem of the smoke being dragged down the streamline casing. So that then went forward into all of the A4s going forward, all of the streamline casing. Number 4468, and an absolutely stunning loco. I find it difficult to say which of the three, this, the Great Western, or the LMS is my favourite. And I often think about this, you know, because I know there's some people prefer the LNER, some prefer the LMS, some are Great Western. For myself, I just can't choose. I think they're all three of them are absolutely stunning, and as I say, they all sound very distinctive, and they all have a very different note. Well, as I mentioned, I plan on putting a video together celebrating 50 years of the Railway Museum, and I've started doing my little bits of research, trawling back through my photographs, and I've actually got a photograph of the Mallard in steam. I'll put it in this video as well. I'll put it in the just drop it in now in the video. But yeah, I actually, back in the 1980s, it would have been the late 1980s, the last time Mallard steamed, I was here when this was out in the yard, and yeah, as you can see, pictures of it with smoke coming from the chimney. Also, as I mentioned a couple of times on the channel, I did go to the gathering when the last remaining 6 A4s all came back together. That was up at Shildon, and yeah, we'll be there tomorrow, so I'm sure I'll mention it again. Right, this loco is a staple of the museum since the very early days, either 1975 or shortly after. This is a Merchant Navy class that was cut away to show the principles of a steam engine with the firebox all cut away, the steam tubes, and right into the smoke box and the blast pipe there. You can see cylinders all cut away. As I say, this has some top points of its life been on a rolling road, so you can see all the motion moving, and at the moment on static display to one side. Element lines was the loco, and as I say, if it wasn't here right at the beginning, it wasn't long, shortly after, that it became on display in here, and it's been a staple ever since. So best part of 50 years this has been on display. Right, we're heading into the north shed. This is probably my favourite piece of the museum, or the whole section of the museum. This is where all of the sort of curiosities are kept, and it's all kinds of a jumble. Everything is in here, anything and everything. You never know what you're going to see, and it looks like it has been moved around a little bit since last time. Some fantastic models in here. Now, I tried something a little bit different. I'm actually filming on my phone. I did film on my normal camera last year, and yeah, I've got some awful footage. It was far too dark, and hopefully I'm getting more detail in this time to give some idea of what's actually in here. You know, I mean, look at the cutaway model here. Hopefully, you know, we're not getting too much reflection there. The bells at the bottom there. Everything in here is labelled, so I'm sure the museum knows exactly what's in here. Unfortunately, I am running out of time, so I'm not going to be able to read everything that's in here. But if I just go through, if you are interested, go back and have a look at the video last year. I spent a lot of time in here going around, but the footage was rather dark. Got the platform ticket machines here, and just to this side, all of the different lampposts that adorn the station, and the different signs. Everywhere you look, there's something new. There's looks like the wooden templates there, maybe for the casting and wheels. Not totally sure, but that's what they look like. And the different chairs here. Some sort of model of is that a mining platform maybe, or yeah, mining tower maybe. Down here we got the wooden model here of the locomotive. I can't read what it says on it, unfortunately. The light's too dark. And yeah, if I just go a bit closer here, you can see the Southern Loco tender. You can see how dark it is in here and how difficult it is to film. There's so many things to look at. I could spend forever in here. I certainly remember these ticket machines. Very similar to what you see today, to be right. And here we've got a North. Just read it. I can't remember what it was. A North Union Railways first class carriage, 1842. It's a model. Yeah, there's too much reflection there. Let's come around this side. Absolutely exquisite models. All the models of locomotion and rocket. Puffin Billy, Trevick's loco over the back there. Really ornate carving. It's the Young's India Pale Ale for Edinburgh. This loco remembrance. A section of the Fourth Bridge down there. Hopefully this footage is better than last year. It was awfully dark. Little terrier at the end here. Terrier Denmark. And British Railways Standard Express locomotive, it says there, Britannia class. Got a cutaway Deltic, and you know, to give some idea of the scale of this, see my hand there, and these exquisite models. So when I filmed in here last year, this area was just far too dark and I didn't get any detail at all. So these are O-gauge models. These hold the Guinness World Records for the most amount of models made by one person. So these were by James Peel Richards, who made these up until 1999, and the whole collection is in here. And yeah, each one of these, I mean, I don't want to go through all the locos, but each one of these is to such a high standard. Look at the coaches here. It's such a vast collection of locos and rolling stock. I assume these are the ones that were made by the gentleman. But then there's the APT model in the case here, so it makes me think that this is a little bit of a mixture. I mean, that's definitely some sort of German loco there. Right, well, it's a little bit confusing, so I've gone back and read again. It's actually 42 locomotives, 150 coaches and 420 wagons were made, and there's 2 cabinets here and here, and they contain the railway's connection of O gauge, so they are all mixed together. So unfortunately, I'm guessing it's actually this side are the handmade locos because of the amount of wagons that are in here, but nevertheless the detail is still the same. I mean, they're really exquisite models in here, and you can see it just keeps going. Wonderful collection. Now on this side, again, awfully dark. It is awfully dark in here and very, very difficult. Got a couple of steamers. I don't know if they've been coming out on the camera. There's an old model of a coach. Again, I just can't not get a reflection. I mean, in some ways I really love the way this is all displayed, because you never know what you're going to see or what you're going to find, but it is absolutely hopeless if you actually want to look at anything. You see the cycle up there. Again, lots of furniture, obviously very specific to different railways. Make my way along. There's some carved pieces of rock here. What does it say? Rail boundary markers from the Fleetwood and Preston Railway. Back past those boats, we've got a corporation tram. Just down here, a little model, and a case from, oh, I can't read what that says. It's definitely from Paddington. There's a wooden model of a loco, reminiscent of the paper models I saw down at Hornby the other week. They were particularly impressive. There's another streamline loco, an A4 at the end there, all these different models. Just going to make my way down. There's a model here of a loco by George Stephenson. I'm going to have to move on a little bit quicker because the museum's going to close. I'm not going to get round in time. So forgive me if this is going too fast. Right, so moving on. I'm just going to go around this very, very quickly, I'm afraid, because I am running out of time. And the stars of the show really are the locos. I mean, you can see down here, you get an impression of what's actually in here. You know, everywhere you look, there's something of interest. I don't remember seeing this before. A model of the Intercity. This is a concept model for British Railways of an Intercity 250. Not seen that before. Lovely model of the A4 there. This one over here, Wildfire. Another model Deltic. Again, more crockery and silverware. The Bullet here, Southern Railways. This sign, the signals, and then this wonderful contraption. So this is not a model railway, this is actually a training table for signalmen. And yeah, they would use this, you can see the lever frame over the back there, for training purposes. I do believe this is run every Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday lunchtime. And oh, hang on, I'm just having a look here. So yeah, there are running dates. I'm just having a look here. It actually did run today, so yeah, I must have missed that. It was 11 o'clock and I'm here right at the end of the day, so that's a shame. But yeah, there's demonstrations on this quite often. and it's certainly something to see. I would love to see that, but never timed it right in the past. Over this side, model of locomotion number 1. That's absolutely superb. Everywhere you look, there's just more and more to see. It's a clear story coach, Great Western Railways. And over here, token machines. See the smaller signal frames here, and just moving around this way, we've got stained glass, all kinds of railway signs. Again, I'm moving through this awfully quickly, and I do apologise. I wish I had more time. At the steps there, takes you up onto a balcony that overlooks York Station. I'll put a little bit of footage in of that, and then just heading down this way. Platform 9 3/4. Sat down there, I've not seen that before. Doncaster South. Lovely model of a wagon. These cabinets are new, I don't remember seeing these before. Much better display though, they just could do with a little bit of light inside them. Flying Dutchman. Got up there. The workmanship on these tenders. Lots of signalling equipment and miniature signals here. And again, more locos. There is so much to see in here, and yeah, sadly I've run out of time to do it justice. The model of the ship here. Even the cabinet that's in is pretty impressive. But, yeah, the model of the Maid of Orleans there. Wonderful model, and tucked behind, yeah, another steamer. Everywhere you look, cut glass, sections loco, a set of Timken bearings here, showing the assembly. Obviously a demonstration there, maybe from sales or something. I could spend hours in here, absolutely hours. Now, there's a couple of, just a couple more shots. I'm just going to pan down these aisles while there's not many people in here, and then I want to move on to the locos. This is the tender of the Bullet Q1 that's in the main museum, and on this side we've got the diesel number 4 streamlined rail car. So as I understand it, this is the only streamlined rail car from GWR in existence. This is number 4 from 1934, mainly built as a commuter transport. And I believe this has just come out of restoration. Let's go around and have a look at it. Now, last week at the railway fair, I actually bought one of these. It's one that I didn't have in my model collection, and I bought one of these that has been converted to a slightly different running rail scale. I forget which one it was, so I do need to convert it back, and it's not running at all, so there's a little bit of work there to do. So I'm quite looking forward to doing that. But as I say, I've never seen one of these before in the flesh, and it's kind of on my mind at the moment. As I say, because I bought bought a model of it the other week. I'll just come up to the end here and get a shot of the other side of the cab. See the streamlining on there. And then opposite it we have the teak dining car that was displayed with the Flying Scotsman when we came last year. But Flying Scotsman has moved from here to the Nene Valley Railway. I'm actually going there. My wife's taking me there in a couple of weeks' time for a trip on the Flying Scotsman, so I'm really looking forward to that. And then on this side, the Deltic. Nice to get up quite close to it, and you can see inside there. Hopefully it's coming out on the camera. You see inside there the engines. I'm just reading here. Designed for high power and low weight, Deltics made 100 mile an hour speed the norm. They're named after their engines, which are triangular in shape like the Greek letter delta. And this is the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, built in 1961. And indeed this was what was on the this was the loco on the turntable last year when I came here. You can see there the name of it. And earlier we saw the small loco that was used in the locomotive factory for moving locos around, the forklift of its time. Well, here's the modern version, and this is called an E-Maxi XL Vario, and obviously this is what the museum is now using to redisplay the locos, which I'm sure makes the process a lot easier. Right, heading out of the North Hall now, back into the Great Hall, because I do want to catch the last few locos before the museum does close. Got some beautiful models here. Look at the A4. Right, so we've got an announcement the museum is closing. Got a cab here off of Britannia Loco. The cutaway section, and here you can see the Merchant Navy class loco just from the other side. You see hear the announcement in the background that museum's closing shortly. Got the iconic steps here over the top of the mallard, and I mentioned the workshops before, and you can see it's now transformed into a kids play area, which I suppose is good for the museum. They do need to bring in the revenue, but certainly sad to me. I did enjoy walking around the workshops. This is Agenoria from 1829. So this primitive locomotive was built by the railway pioneer John Rastrick. He worked with Richard Trevithick, the inventor of the mining engine. So very early engine here, displayed with a Stamford and Morton wagon from 1826 as well. And then just next to it, beautiful Pullman carriage topaz. Absolutely stunning. A cut glass window here, and you see the detailing and the panel work, and go down the side. I'm just going to try and come over here to capture the desk. I don't know if that's coming out. There's a lot of reflection there. Got the EM1 next to Sir Kenneth Grange, the Intercity 125. Sir Kenneth coming up with the livery, that iconic livery on this loco. And then just over here, the section of the Channel Tunnel with the original Eurostar sitting in the tracks there. So as well as Eurostar, I've actually got this train here, which was used in the construction of the Channel Tunnel. Well worn, got a lot of patina on there from its work in actually digging the tunnel there. Got the sign here from Stanmore Summit, 1,370 feet. So over here, loco in the foreground, it's from the South African Railways. We've got the train as I move into the last few moments of the day. Got the D-Class here, number 373, from 1901. Beautiful, beautiful looking engine. Just in front of the Pullman carriage there. And on this side, the Japanese loco. Now, if I remember what it's called, it's the Shinkansen, I think. If I've got that wrong, I do apologise. I'll put a caption in the editing, but I think it's something like Shinkansen. And then we've got the Chinese loco just to the side here. Probably one of the biggest locos in the UK. Absolute monster. Built here in the UK, but spent his working life over in China, and then came back to the museum. And just as I kind of get towards the end of the day, a couple more locos here, the little electric commuter train that I did mention in the previous video, and probably one of my favourite small engines of old time, the little Terrier loco, this one Box Hill. They've got Martello up at Bressingham and Stepney down on the Bluebell line. And yeah, love these little locos, they're absolutely fantastic. And suddenly, at the end of the day, as they're trying to close, the museum is empty and it's all very quiet. Well, I've had a superb day here, loved every minute of it, and yeah, certainly one of my favourite museums. I love coming here. Not local to me, it's an awful long journey. It takes us about 4.5 hours to get here, but absolutely worth every minute in the car. If you can visit, if this is somewhere that you can get to, yeah, definitely worth coming here, without a doubt. Another part of the museum that's been here for many years is the Weather Hill winding engine. And we're back to the gates where we started this afternoon from Euston Station. Right, well, on my visit last year, I saw all the guys up on the roof of Station Hall, just across the road here, putting the roof on there. That's obviously all complete now, and looking forward to September when Station Hall reopens. So if everything goes to plan, I hope to get back up here towards the end of the year and bring you what's inside the new Station Hall. Well, I've had a superb afternoon walking around the Railway Museum. Absolutely love the place, and I can't get enough of it every time I come here. And this time particularly, the access to the locos has been superb, and all the locos have been moved around from last year, which made it a whole new exhibition. So yeah, absolutely fantastic day out. And if you can come here, do so. I mean, things like the smell as you're walking, you just can't capture that on camera. Just try and choose a day when it's not quite so busy and not in the school holidays. That's my advice anyway. But yeah, still had a fantastic afternoon. And with that, I'm going to leave this one there. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up, and why not check out the channel? Lots on there. If you can subscribe, I'll be awfully grateful. And with that, I'll leave this one there. Just say thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.